Brilliance Audio presents Up All Night, Ted Turner, CNN, and the Birth of 24-Hour News by Lisa Napoli, performed by the author. His handsome face tired, his silver hair and mustache now fully white, his speech as bombastic as when reporters first anointed him the Mouth of the South, a nickname he despised, Ted Turner grabbed the Goldsmith Career Award for Excellence in Journalism as he ascended the stage at the Forum of Public Affairs at Harvard University. He found the honor amusing. Before him, it had been bestowed on luminary broadcast journalists like Ted Koppel, Mike Wallace, Barbara Walters, and Leslie Stahl, venerable practitioners whose networks Ted had charged after with nuclear force, changing the very nature of TV. Though he'd never reported a story in his life, though he'd long ago derided news as evil, he supposed he had been a journalist of sorts. After all, he still drew a paycheck from a media company, Time Warner, which had acquired his Turner Broadcasting years earlier, including the service for which he was being feted that night, CNN, a source of news to 2 billion people around the globe. Heck, way back in grade school, he'd hawked newspapers at a streetcar stop for a penny a pop. Didn't that count as journalism? Even as a kid, he'd been a salesman above all else, shouting, "Extra!" to the passers-by to suggest that the latest issue promised big, breaking news. It wasn't an extra, he confessed to the audience, who lapped up his irreverence, but I was trying to sell these goddamn papers. After a few too many drinks at the pre-event dinner party, he propped up the framed commendation on the seat of a chair next to the podium. The citation proceeded to fall to the floor. He left it there. "It won't stand up," he said, "and I'm having trouble doing the same myself." As much as the cocktails, the dismal facts of life since the dawn of the new millennium had knocked him off kilter. When clocks ticked into the year 2000, the world had not imploded, as many had expected it might, but Ted's universe had. Days into the new year, his third wife, the actress Jane Fonda, had moved out. He'd honored her wish that he not run for president of the United States, a job he wanted if only to promote his passion for environmental preservation. Fonda had said she'd leave him if he ran, so he didn't. She went ahead and split anyway. He loved her still. "The best lay I ever had," he'd lamented to the dean's wife earlier that evening, the ultimate compliment by this inveterate ladies' man. Just a few days after that personal loss, a different life-altering bombshell exploded, this one dropped by Time Warner chairman Gerald Levin. Levin had altered the course of Ted's life before. In 1975, he'd sparked a media revolution when he catapulted a faltering pay cable service called HBO into space, then a brand new frontier. When Ted learned about this pioneering use of a satellite to transmit a television signal, he was inspired to make the copycat move for his little independent station in Atlanta. This changed everything for him, and for the station, and ultimately for all of television. Swept up in this new century by the irrational exuberance of the World Wide Web, Levin, now Ted's boss, had negotiated the sale of their company to a preposterous suitor, the red-hot America Online. Ted had his doubts, but he no longer had any say. Wall Street so disapproved of this merger that Time Warner's stock tanked. In the past months alone, his personal fortune had shrunk by $3 billion. Just a week earlier, he'd suffered another incalculable loss of power. He'd been shunted aside into an emeritus role. The networks he'd created, including CNN, would no longer fall under his control. Absent his job, his wife, or a healthy slice of his fortune, now he had to stand tall here in Cambridge at the august university that had, decades earlier, rejected his application for admission. "If I had come to college here, God knows what I would have accomplished," he mused, as the audience erupted in laughter. Because, aside from the recent tumult, no one could argue that his achievements had been anything but formidable. In introducing Ted, His Harvard host extolled him as a visionary in the spirit of the savior of the venerable New York Times, Adolph Ox, or better yet, Elvis. Elvis Presley changed music, but Ted had done one better. He'd changed America. Yet few in that audience remembered, if they ever knew at all, the improbable empire building that had emboldened Ted to believe he could start the very first all-news channel in 1980. Hardly anyone thought the idea could work, much less last, much less that a rogue like him could pull it off.